Paris, before deadlines and press conferences, where one might recline at a cloudy cafe for days over a single café crème and contemplate that perfect sentence. A ghost impervious but endlessly curious of traffic and passers-by. Paris, where one could haunt bookshops stacked and filled to overflowing with words every writer covets for the hubris of their own discovery, endeavoring to conquer those words once and for all, but never quite. The Paris of Marie Laurencin, of Picasso and Matisse, Duana Barnes and Cole Porter. Oh, how the rain distorted that cityscape through the arched windows of that drafty little apartment overlooking Rue de Cardinal Lemoine, like a Dali or Kandinsky, swimming through the psyche, each drop upon the glass its own painted composition. Hadley and I would stroll arm in arm along rain-swept avenues, alone, but for the most stalwart soul, or anonymous among a bobbing sea of umbrellas, like a funeral to the day. The lights, those magnificent Paris lights, the Moulin Rouge, Chat Noir, jazz, the lonesome lament of the accordion player upon a street corner. The people, yes, the people. Josephine Baker. Ah, Josephine Baker. Laughing, I would chase Hadley up the winding narrow staircase, our hurried and eager footfalls thundering in the stairwell. And we would burst through the door, tearing at one another's wet clothing, excitable kisses, fevered and hungry through the sanctuary warmth of our big fireplace. We would make love, true, eternal love, screaming, joyous love, before the roaring fire cocooned in our secret universe of passion, crying out at the pinnacle of that ecstatic expression. And then, inspired, I would write madly for days, a sanctuary island between the raging rivers of history and catastrophe, already insistent at the door. It was a feast for the senses, substance for the soul, and foreboding. But in that island, there was no foreshadow of things to come. There was only light and love and pure inspiration. For me, that will always be Paris, eternal, heavenly Paris, and the exuberance of love alone, fresh and light. At the station, when I saw my wife again, standing by the tracks as the train came in, lost briefly in a rush of steam, I wished at that moment I had died before I ever loved anyone but her. She was smiling, the sun on her lovely tan face, beautifully built. Her hair, red gold in the sun, grown out all winter, awkwardly, beautifully. I loved her as I loved no one else, and we had a lovely, magic time while we were alone. I worked well and we made great trips, and I thought we were invulnerable. That was the end of the first part of Paris. Paris was never to be the same again, although it was always Paris. If you were lucky enough to have lived in Paris, then wherever you go for the rest of your life, it stays with you. For Paris is a movable feast for the senses. What was it Thomas Jefferson said of, "If ever a city were designed to distract us from our troubles, it would be Paris"? There is never any ending to Paris, and the memory of each person who has lived in it differs from that of any other. We always return to Paris, perfect, imperfect, eternal Paris, in those wondrous days when we were so very poor and so very, very happy. And through it all, there was one immovable fact, a delicious feast. I was a writer.